on IBM I have to travel,
Okay, got it.
so that is another reason why I want to go back to Pega, because there are a lot of projects that have Pega implementation. So
Okay, that's good.
yeah.
So Ravi, how about you?
Yeah, I've been working in the IT industry for close to 10 years now.
Great.
My basic technology is Java J2E and
Okay,
mobile technology for iOS and Android development.
okay,
The organization I'm working with, the client architecture has the BPM tool as Pega. So
okay,
most of the web applications that I support and manage, we interact with these Pega applications through web services.
okay,
So to get a complete understanding, when I'm designing or architecting these applications, I want to be an end-to-end architect, starting from the front end to the middleware and the back end. And also, I want to do a hands-on on Pega. So the goal for me from this training would be I should be able to take up a Pega certification at the end of the course and be able to clear it.
sure. I mean, you can do that. So, how we will go ahead is after like completion of 1 week, we will start. I will start giving you the project requirements and what are the project requirements. Just a small case study kind of thing. Okay, and keeping that requirements in view. So whatever the new things that we develop would be according to that requirement. So that by the end of like 45 days, so we will get to we will be completing one project only during this training, and then going forward we'll see. I will try to make uh, help you in developing one more project, so that you will get to know how a project is built from scratch. Okay, and by the time you move or you get into Pega, so you will be having two projects experience, and this experience will help you in clearing your certifications and all. Okay. So
Okay,
we'll start
and
here.
Zubair, one question regarding the certification.
Sure, sure.
Uh, I think the entry level is a certified system architect. Is that right?
Right, right.
Okay.
So there are three
Yeah.
kinds of certifications for Pega. So the entry level, as
Okay.
you said, is a it's called a CSA, Certified
Okay.
System Architect. Okay,
Okay.
and there is one more certification called Senior System Architect, CSSA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
and then there's one more thing, Certified Lead System Architect. So only three certifications. Okay. But still, there are some other type of certifications as well, like reporting specialist, integration specialist, and all. Okay. So, but
Okay.
overall, these three are the main. But people who are familiar, who are familiar in, who are good in reportings. So what they will do, there is few categories as well, but that is not that much important compared to the CSA, CSSA, and CLSA. Okay, so people based on their
Okay.
interest just to show to the client that they are good in integrations or reportings. Okay, so they will
Okay.
do small certifications in that area as well. Okay, but still, if we are CSSA or CLSA, we don't require those reporting specialists or integration specialists, because these things, however, they will come, they are part of your CSSA certification.
Okay. And these certifications, they have to be done like one after the other, right? You cannot go to CSSA, go
Right.
to CSA.
Right, exactly. But there is no timeline. So what you can do is, if you are good, so you can appear for CSA this month, and after like in the next month you can appear for CSSA as well.
Okay.
So there's one more, Srikanth. Hi, Srikanth. Maybe Srikanth is an organizer, I guess. He's the one who's coordinating this meeting. Not that sure. So, anyways, so we'll start with the course content, and this is the course. You guys able to see my screen, right?
Yeah.
So this is the course content that we will be covering during our training. Okay, so it's Pega 7 course content. So what I did is, it's not just a CSA. Okay, so whatever the topics that are part of CSSA as well. Okay, so I just took those topics and even added it to this course content. So it's like at the end of the at the end of completion of this course. Okay, so we will be reaching to a level wherein we can tell others that we are in a I mean we are a senior system CSSA level developers. Okay, so I mean here the course initially. So we'll start with an application, because whatever the new, I mean, if you want to create a new application, or if you want to build something, if you want to create any registration or login screens, okay, so directly you can't just go and create in Pega. So the first thing or the basic thing is, first you have to create a new application. Okay, you have to give the objective of your application, where you're going to build, of in which organization you are going to build. Okay, so just after some basic configurations, okay, and upon submitting, there is a wizard that automatically creates your application structure. Now once your application is created, then only you can go into that particular switch to that particular application, and you have to build your UI rules, whatever things you want. Okay, so there should be an application created, and only then you can go and you can add whatever the rules or stuff you want to create. Okay, so without a new application, we can't create anything. If I want to build a small UI or a proper or a variables I want to create, so there should be an application in place, and I have to switch to that particular application, and I need to create. Now in Pega, so whatever the new thing that we create is called, on a high level language or in a high level terminology, it is called as a rule. Okay, it is called as a rules, or a rule, you can say. Okay. Now, if I want to create a property, that is also called as a rule. If you want to create a class, that is also called as a rule. A UI screen, that is also called as a rule. Okay. So whatever the new thing that you create on a high level terminology, it is called as a rule. Okay. So because since I'm working like 5 to 6 years, so sometimes automatically a rule word will come out. So I just wanted to clear before, so that you guys should not get confused. So the first thing on the first course content, the first lesson would be creating of, how to start a new application or how to create a new application. And then once you create a new application, there are wizards of, so what we need to do is we have to just go through the wizard, and just so it will ask for objectives, why you are building, all those things. Okay, so once you submit this wizard, Pega automatically creates you the application structure. Okay, and then there is so this is how an application will be created, new application will be created, and then there is a concept called rule sets in Pega. Okay, so the rule set, these rule set concept, you don't have in APM, because Matthews is working in APM, so I just want to tell him that. So here in Pega we have a concept of rule set. So rule set is whatever the new rule that you create. It's like, even it can be a property, it can be a variable, it can be like UI screen, or it can be a class. Okay, so whatever the new the rule that you create, that has to be associated with a rule set. Okay, so it's on a, generally it's like a container, you can say, or it's kind of suitcase, we can say. Okay, so wherein what we'll do in suitcase, so whatever all the belongings that we purchase, we'll be placing them in a suitcase, right? Something similar to that is the rule sets. So rule, we all know what is the rule. So anything that you create is new. It can be a proper variable, it can be a class, it can be a function. Okay, and sets means collection of that particular rules. So rule set is nothing but collection of rules. Okay, so now why this rule set is used is, now if you're starting a new application, okay, so whenever you are building a new application, so we might require many things to create, right? So like few 20 properties, 3 or 4 classes, and 3 or 4 UI screens, and then few functions and all those things. At the end of 1 month, we have created almost like 500 rules. Okay, now generally everyone is going with the agile methodology these days, right? So agile methodology, and Pega strictly suggests to go or use agile methodology. So in agile methodology, after every like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, there would be a code movements happening. Now, what are the 500 rules that you create? And now, when you want to move that particular this code to another environments, so five. I mean, selecting all those 500 rules, it's I mean, tough job. Now, what Pega did is, while creation of rule itself, it will ask us to select a rule set, okay, or container kind of thing, or suitcase kind of thing. Now, what you will do? So while creation of whatever the rule that you create, so automatically you will select. I mean, then and there you will select. Okay, I want this rule to be placed in so and so rule set. Now at the end of the now whatever the 500 rules that you create, so all will be associated with I mean, one or two rule sets. You place these rules in one or two rule sets. Now at the end, I mean, after 1 month, now when you want to move the code to other environment, you need not select all those 500 rules. Okay, directly select the rule set, and that will automatically take care of the other rules. So it's just moving the suitcase from one area to other area. Okay? And a rule resolution. So a rule resolution is an algorithm which Pega follows internally to call or to find a correct rule. Okay. Now there could be like child class, parent class. Okay. And there would be like variables created in both the classes. Now finding, I mean, variables with the same name. Okay. Now finding the correct rule. Now whenever you're calling or whenever you're referring variable, okay, and this variable can be in with parent as well as the child class. Now, how Pega fetches, I mean, which rule it should call or which rule it should find. Okay, so to do that, in order to do that, there is an algorithm which Pega follows. Okay, so that algorithm is called as a rule resolution algorithm. Okay, so anyways, we will get into this. So just wanted to give you a brief overview of the courses that we will be covering. Okay, and then the enterprise class structure. So this is a very important concept in Pega. So whenever we are building a new application, whenever you're creating a new application, so how your class structure should be created, what are the things that we need to uh, uh, analyze, okay, what are the things that we need to study, to research. So all those things, I mean, because the foundation of your application is based on the way you have designed your class structure. Okay, so this is an important concept in Pega. So if there is any a difference or any negligence in creating your class structure, and later on it will affect your application. Okay, so in class structure, so we have concept of circumstancing, okay, reusability, because class structure means your class structure should be designed in such a way that we have to attain maximum reusability, right? So since reusability, everywhere we hear about reusability, right? One of the features you can say. Uh, so you created a code, okay, and that code should be such a way that you have to use it wherever again the same logic needs to be performed. Okay, so the same thing in Pega. Pega also stretches a lot on reusability. So whenever whatever you're creating, whatever the new thing you're creating, so first we have to make sure that whatever the code that I'm going to write is only applicable to me, or at a later point of time or in a later stages, the same code can be used by others. Okay, if okay, I felt that okay, this can be used by others as well, then what I have to do, I have to write this rule, okay, in a class, in a class, so that the others can reuse it. Okay, so circumstancing, it's like similar to polymorphism concept which we hear in object-oriented programming language. Polymorphism, right? One the definition, one thing in many forms, we would say. Okay, so the polymorphism can be achieved in Pega through a circumstancing. Okay, and then we have a concept of case management in Pega. Okay, so all this case design, case management, management, I mean, this state-based case management, case hierarchy. So all these are part of case management. Okay, and then since whatever any BPM you take, so it will be all about workflows, creating flows and all those things. Okay, and then advanced flow processing. I mean, few advanced concepts in flow processing are like generally there are two types of flows: a standard flow and screen flow. Okay, so why to go for standard flow and why to go for this screen flow? So we will cover it in this particular topic. Okay, and then for every in Pega or in any BPM tool. So if you create a new case, okay, now I logged in and I raised a support request. Okay, now whenever I submit it, so there would be a unique ID that's get generated, and that is being called as a work item in Pega. Okay, so you can call as a work object or work item. Okay, so that I mean, because I have raised, so that should be unique, right? So that at a later point of time, people can open that particular case and get to know, I mean, currently what is status, how long it has been processed, and all those things. Okay, so for that sake, what they will do is whenever a new case has been created, so a unique ID would be associated with that. Okay. And whenever, I mean, in Pega or any BPM tool, there would be a work status. Like I have request for I have for something. I mean, any through a Pega application, I have created some support request. Okay, and now the request is pending for approval. Okay, now whatever the work object I created. Okay, so like Pegasus just to create statuses for that. Okay, now I created, so the moment I am going to create a new request, so the work object status would be new, work item status would be new. Okay, and the moment I filled all the details and clicked on submit, okay, now it has to go for an approval of manager or so and so officer. Okay, so the moment I submit, now my work item status should be pending approval. Okay, so this work object status will help us. So later at a later point of time, so manager wants to create a report and he wants to see how long these work items have been processed. Okay, so by looking into the status, they can easily identify that okay, this request is pending or it has reached to so and so level. Now, if my work object status is set to pending approval, okay. Now, easily by looking into the status, we can easily understand that okay, a user has submitted and it is pending for approval. Okay, so I mean, these work objects plays an important role. With work parties, so work parties is like people that have been involved in processing these requests are called as the work parties. Now I created a request and it went to Matthews for approval. Okay, Matthews approved and then it went to Ravi for approval. So all these people who have been involved in this.
I have a doubt. Sorry,
Sure.
to interrupt.
Sure.
Yeah, on the case management, right? Do we
Okay.
still have the folders and other things?
Which one? Yes, we have that.
The folder concept is
Yeah,
right?
we have that.
Oh, okay.
Covers, folders still it is there. But
Sure.
what Pega 7 in till version 6.3 it was just case management. Now from version 7 it is all about stage-based case management. Okay, so here a new concept called stages have been added. So whatever the case type that we create, so we have to go and create stages. Okay, and then we have to add process to that.
Okay.
So anyways, we will get into that because now if we talk about covers, folders, and it will
Somebody told that they removed the folders and other things.
No, that is there, but we are not we don't require to use that because this they have added. I mean, they come up with stage-based case management, so we don't require really to go for those covers and folders. But still, we can whatever the thing that we used to do in other versions. So still, you can do it in 7.
Okay.
But a few additional things have been added. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
And your look and feel of the developer portal and all those things got changed.
Okay, thank you.
Work party. So work parties is like the people that have been involved in order to process the work. Okay, so all those are called as the work parties. Okay, as I said, I created a request, or customer created a request, and we went to officer for approval. Officer approved or rejected. Okay, and then it goes for a next level of approval. So the people who have been involved in order to process this work object or work item or the request, okay, are all called as the work parties. Okay. And then
I have a question.
Sure.
This Pega 7, do we need to have a hands-on experience on Pega 6.1 or 5.3?
No, not that much, not required. Okay. So, but what we'll do is, so wherever we feel like this is a little bit, I mean, this is the new thing that have been added. Okay, so in that case, what we'll do is we will go to the 6.2 and we'll see, I mean, what is the difference, because
Yeah, for
70,
me,
yes.
because I don't have hands-on experience on Pega itself, so for me,
No problem.
everything would be new, so I don't know.
Right. So for you, I mean, we will move ahead with version 7, and whatever the things that we felt that okay, only these are the things that have been added newly, or this has been changed in version 7. So in that case, what we will do, we will go to version 6.2 or 6.3, and we will see, we will create the same concept there, and we can compare it, okay, how different it is. Okay, so that it will give us an idea. So if people ask us, I mean, what was there in other versions, so we can tell them, we can compare them. So there, this was not, I mean, this was not there in 7. Extra things have been added. We can, I mean, it helps us. So I mean, not required, but still, I mean, overall everything is same. So you create the properties the same way, flows, okay, and then case management is almost similar, activities same. Okay, only few minor changes you can say have been added. So that we will see. I mean, once we cover, or once we get some hands-on experience in 7, then we'll switch to 6.2, and there also we will create one more application so that we can compare, I mean, how different the other versions are there from version 7. Okay. And then data model. So we all know data is an important thing, right? So building a solid, I mean, I mean, in Pega, there are two types of classes that we can create. So it's work classes and data classes. Okay. So whatever the thing that, I mean, whatever the information or you can say things that relate to data. So now we want to save some information of so and so customers. Okay. So in that case, what we will do is generally we create a data class. Okay, and we will create variables with respect to that particular customer or employee. Okay. So I mean, because we knew that okay, this is something that we need to store or that we require going forward. Okay, so in that case, we will go and create the data classes. Okay, in Pega, usually you may come across work classes and data classes. So both are class, but there's slight difference in them. Okay. So I mean, that is what I mean. So whenever we are dealing with data model, so what and how to create and what and all things that we uh, require, or what things that we need to analyze. So all those things will cover in this data model. Now controlling data with properties. Now earlier it was all, I mean, in Java or in C++, we used to hear about properties, sorry, variables. Okay, so now I mean, in numbers or char, ABC, that whatever the variables that we create in other programming language. The same thing if you want to create in Pega. So here just the terminology got changed. Here it is called as the properties. Okay, so variables in Java is similar to the properties in Pega. Now, because we know, right? So variables will, in order to store some data, or some information while we write a program. So what we do, we will create a variable and we will map that particular value to that, right? So the same thing in Pega as well. So properties will do the same thing that we used to do in that a variable used to perform in other programming language. Now, source your data with data pages. Now, important concept in Pega is data pages. Okay, so in earlier it was in other versions or in versions prior to version 7. So it was like it was called as a declare pages. Okay, but in version 7, what they did is they did a lot of changes to that declare pages, and they changed the name as data page. Okay, so earlier if you want to create a data page, so only there was one source, right? You can create it through activity. Now here there are a lot of source through a report. You mean you can create a report as a source to this data page. Okay, data transform. I mean there are many changes that have been happened. Okay, so and they change the name to data page from declare page. So this is like I mean, data page is I mean important concept in Pega. Now it's like why we generally go for the data page is now if we want to fetch an information or collect the information from so and so table. Okay, so that how we will do, I mean, by creating a page And usually how we used to do is you will write an function and you will collect all those details in a page. Okay, so now what happens is that in every interaction that function will be called and it is collecting the information, copying the copying the information from database and placing into the object. Page is nothing but an object. Okay, so if you have Java experience, so you can relate this. So wherever you find this page, so it is almost similar to an object in Java. So so every time you access, so whenever you are accessing, whenever you want to do some operations on that data that is being stored in the table, so every time you have to call the function and pull the information from table and put it in the object. So so what Pega did is there is a concept called these data pages or declare pages. So wherein what you will do is you will just configure what will be your source, okay, from where you want to pull your records. So it's like similar to the page, okay. So the only difference is so once you create it, okay, so once you configure the source and from where the records has to be pulled and how the records has to be pulled, so you will do this configuration, and now every time the page is created, so that whenever you are accessing, so what you need not go and write a function, so directly you can query this data page and get your information. And so there is a very good concept. There are like many configurations that you can do. So whenever a change has been happened to the source end, so automatically your page gets refreshed and gathers the updated result. And like whenever you are creating, if you feel that okay, there might be frequent changes to the database, so what you can do is while configuring this or while creating this data page itself, you will say that okay, refresh after every 1 hour or refresh after every 2 hours, so that what happens is so after 1 hour it gets refreshed. Okay, so whenever it is refreshing, what it will do, the way you have configured, okay, you are through if you are pulling the information of that particular table by writing a function or through reports, so what you can do is, so what internally Pega does it, so it will call that particular function and will pull the records and will place it into the page, data page. Now wherever whoever needs, so they will just query your data page and get the result. Okay. So this is an advantage of having data page. Now user experience. So user experience is all about the UI rules. So if you want, so how many types of UI rules are available in Pega? Okay. So if you want to create the UI rule, so what is that? If I want to create a UI, so what are the rules that I require? Okay. And the architecture of the UI and dynamic UI. So dynamic means conditionally if you want to hide something, or conditionally if you want to show something. And then there is from version 7 there is a concept called responsive UI. Okay, so a responsive UI, Pega from version 7 Pega automatically handles this responsiveness. Okay, so from in what what the way whenever you are creating a UI, so there are like concept called layouts, dynamic layouts. So whenever you use dynamic layouts, so automatically these dynamic layouts are responsive. So responsive in the sense, if I'm accessing a Pega application in this laptop, okay, so the screen will fit to my monitor size. The same application I'm accessing through mobile or tab, okay, the screen automatically adjusts its fields according to that particular screen size. Okay, this is called the responsiveness. So here from version 7, so automatically whenever you are creating the UI, so there are new layouts have been added. Earlier it was smart layout. Okay, so here from version 7 it is all about dynamic layouts. Okay, so dynamically it gets changed. So and then styling of an application. Styling means usually so there would be a standard now whenever I'm using a text area or text input, okay, so usually by default the size would be 100. Okay, now if you want to change that particular size of text box or text area, okay, and so that it should reflect across the application. Okay, so these kind of things, there is a concept called skin rule in Pega. So you can go to that schedule rule and you can modify, you can make some changes so that whatever the fields or component that we are using, so will be reflected across the application. Okay. And whatever the controls that are available and the components that are available, so all those things we will be covering in this UI. So so it's not like after completion of data model or after completion of flow processing only then we will be jumping to UI. So that is not possible, because uh, because we will start creating of application, and then whenever we created a new application and if you want to build some screens, so at that time we definitely require this UI rules, right? So so if we go with this order, then it will take a lot of time to reach here. So what we'll do is, so wherever we feel whatever the rules that are necessary or that are important, we'll create it. Okay, but we will go depth into that particular rule according to this. Okay, so whenever we complete this, and then whenever we reach this lesson, so we'll go in depth. Okay, but still before reaching this particular topic, so you will be familiarized with how so and so PUI is created, how it is being configured, okay, where it is being referred, all those things. And then automating business policies. So here, I mean, these are the concepts that comes under this topic. Okay, so we have a data transform. So data transform is similar to constructor in Java. Okay, so you you want to initialize some values. Okay, so automatically, I mean, you can do that through this data transform. So data transform is a rule. Okay, it is also one type of a rule type, you can say. Okay, so the way properties are one type of rule, functions or classes, I mean classes is one type of rule, and then there is a concept called activities. Okay, so in Java there was, I mean, it was like functions. So whatever the function that you create in Java, and if you want to build or create something similar to that, then there is a rule type called activities. Okay, in Pega. So data transform is constructor, and then here attachments. So what is the work I mean, whenever you are processing your a case, okay, now if you want to provide an option wherein a user can add attachments. Okay, so for that case there is an auto, I mean, there are a few components already available, so you can just drag and drop. Okay, so that user can click that particular icon, they can attach the documents, and now whatever the attachments or document that is being attaching, so will be mapped to the work item that the user is creating. We need not do any further configurations. Routing is an important thing. Okay, so all the BPM, so people who are familiar with BPM, so they knew what routing is. Okay, so now routing is now I am creating a request. Okay, so upon submitting, it has to go to some different person. Okay, it has to go to my manager or so and so person. It has to route. So to do that, so what we need to do is I mean, we should be familiarized with this routing concept. I mean, to whom we should, I mean, if I want to route it to my manager, okay, so how should I do? If I want to route it to the other person, okay, how should I do? So all those concepts we will be covering in this routing thing. Okay. There is a correspondence, so if like it all related to mail, sending email, and then ticketing. So ticketing similar to the go-to statement which we use in Java. So now from one statement, if I want to jump to the other statement, or from one line, if I want to jump to, I mean, from one function. I'm not that much sure about from one function we can jump to other function, but it's like simple from, I mean, if you are at this level, okay, you're processing at reach to this level, and if you want to skip all those things, and if you want to reach to this particular level, so that thing you can do through ticketing. Okay, and this ticketing will be used in the flows. Okay, so now I created flow, and that there is flow shape A, B, C, D, E. Okay, now after processing flow shape A, okay, now conditionally, I mean, if one of my condition is satisfied, and in that I want to skip B and C, so then what I will do, so by using of ticket, so I can directly jump to C shape or D shape, whatever I want. Okay, so this is how ticketing is used. And then in Pega, there are few declarative rules available. Okay, so declarative rules means we all know, I mean, you just configure it, okay, or you just create it, so automatically that rule gets called automatically based on the conditions that we set. Okay, so declarative means, I mean, we need not configure it. I mean, I created a rule A, okay, and this is a declarative rule. Okay. Now, whenever you create a declarative rule, so once the rule is declarative, so you shouldn't be bothering about how to call that particular rule or where to call that particular rule. Okay, so just create it and forget. So automatically, whenever your flow or whenever your process, whenever a flow is being processed, okay, so whenever the condition has been met or satisfied, automatically your declarative rule will be called. Okay, so like here there are many declarative, there are 6 declarative rules available in Pega. So we have declare expressions, triggers, on change, okay, and then indexes, and there are declarative pages, okay, and there is one more thing, constraint, okay. So, I mean, there are like all these 6 declarative rules have its own purpose. I mean, why to use it and how to use it, okay. But since these rules are declarative, so declarative means we not. I mean, once you create it, we not call it, okay. So just create it, and so Pega will automatically take care of its execution. And then we have the way we have like 6 declarative rules. So similarly, there are few decision rules as well. Okay, so like we have decision tree, decision table, when rule. Okay, so now conditionally, if you want to display some information, okay, conditionally you want to route your flow processing. Okay, so in order to do that, so there we require the decision rules, right? So we have decision rules in Pega as well. And delegating rules to the business users. So this is a delegation is important. I mean, it's not. I mean, it is also a concept in Pega. So you can say important concept as well, because this and delegation is like I created a UI screen. Okay, so of like 10 to 20 feet, and now we feel that okay, this UI needs to be changed frequently. Okay, so even if it is in production system, production environment, so still there are like so after every 2 days or 3 days, your screen needs to be changed or needs to be modified. Okay, and this should be modified by only so and so person. Okay, who is having so and so role. So in that case, what you can do is, so while creation of, I mean, you created this new rule, okay, UI rule. So what you can do is, you have an option of delegation. So what you can do is, you can make this, you can delegate this rule to so and so person. Okay, so what you will do is, you will do some configuration with respect to delegation, and it will ask for a name, okay, to whom you want to delegate. I mean, you want it to delegate to a group of members or to only one member or one user. What you can do is, you can configure his name. I mean, there is because every user will have their own operator IDs. Okay, in order to log into the Pega, they will have an operator ID through which they can log in. Okay, now what I will do, so you want to delegate this rule to that particular user. So he will, since he will be having his operator ID, so we will configure his ID. Okay, so what will happen is that, so now whenever you delegate a rule to that particular user, so now what will happen, so this rule will be shown in his favorite there is an explorer. So there are like 4 to 5 explorers in Pega. So once we log into the Pega developer, we'll see application explorer, data explorer, case explorer, okay, and there is favorite explorer as well. So whatever the rules that have been delegated to him will be listed in that favorite list. Okay, and so at any point of time he can go to that particular rule and he can make the changes. Okay, so even in production level also you can do that. So you I mean so generally how it works is, since there are frequent changes, so whatever the changes that you do, so I mean, again going to the dev environment, okay, make modifying this change, test, and again then move to the production. So every 2 3 days, every 2 3 days, if you do this, so it's a long process, right? So what they will do is, what Pega has come up with is this delegation concept. Okay, so even production level, what you can do is, you can delegate this particular rule to so and so admin or so and so manager. So what you can do is, whenever he logs in to that particular environment, directly what you can do is, I can switch to that particular rule and I can make changes. Okay. And then reporting. So there are like I mean, we have a reporting concept as well in Pega. So and it's easy. So there are like three types of reports available: summary view, list view, and report definition. But from version 7, so Pega stretches more of a report definition. Okay, wherever you are creating a report, so go. I mean, we are supposed to create the report definitions. Okay, so there are three types of reports. I mean, you can create list view, you can create summary view, you can create a report definition. Okay, so through three, any by making use of any of these report, you can fetch the results. Okay? But there are few plus minuses in these reports. Okay. So best one is to go for report definition. Configuring reports, then data model in reports, how to refer the properties or variables in reports. So all these things will be covered here. Okay. And then data visualization using charts. Okay. I mean, whatever the report or data that report has fetched. Okay, if you want to present it through charts, so that also we can do. Okay. And then the integration. So if I mean like introduction about integration, and then we have there are two types of integration Pega supports. So one is your Pega application can call external application, and there is one more thing called your external application that is being built on Java or .NET or any technology. Even that can request Pega. Okay, I mean now Pega can be treated as a web service. Okay, so you can expose your application as a web service so that other applications can interact with you. So two ways of integration is possible. Okay. So we will deal all those things in these integration concepts. Okay. So file listener, email listener. Okay. So all these things are part of this integration. I mean error handling, how to do that. Okay. And then here we will be hearing about whenever we talk about integration, these will be the terminologies that comes. So connector and web service. Okay, so connector means whenever I mean this is my Pega application, and our application needs to interact with some other application and get the result. Okay, so in that case, what we need to do is we need to create the connector. Okay, and we need to configure it. Okay, so like from Pega, if you want to interact with other applications, so we will be using connectors. Now other applications, if they want to interact with Pega, then what we need to do is from Pega side we have to create service. Okay, so SOAP connector, SOAP service, and then we have file listeners, email listeners. Okay, and then external database. Now if you feel that okay you want to collect information from external database. I mean database in Pega. I mean whenever we install Pega, so automatically there would be an internal database, and Pega has its own internal database. Okay, so but sometimes what client says is, I mean they don't want in all the information to be placed in internally. Okay, so they will say that okay, so these are while you process a work object, so these are the information I want to be stored in so and so database. Okay, so in that case, I mean how to do that? I mean how to connect to that particular external database, and how to save that data to that database, and how to fetch the data from that database. So all we will be doing, all we can undo it in this particular integration. Okay. And then the architecture of Pega. Okay, we will be covering. I mean, we'll go through the Pega's architecture, and then how Pega does background processing. Okay, so agents. I mean, you might be hearing about these agents. So it's like if you want to do some processing in the background, so these agents are useful in that sense. Now controlling an access to an application. Now it's all related to security. Okay, so how you want, I mean how you want to generate, I mean what sort of security that you want to provide to this application. I mean which users can access it. Okay, and what other users can access. I mean how much part of application is being accessed. So all those things that you can configure it here. And then few tasks with which are related to admin. So in Pega, whatever in every Pega team, okay. So there would be Pega developers and there would be one or two admins, okay. So these admin tasks would be like creating of new users, okay, and then giving access to the particular giving application access to those users, okay, and then doing code migrations. So all the stuff would be taken. Are the tasks which are related to admin. Okay. So even that part also we will cover it because as a Pega developer, at least not that much, but still at least 50 to 60% of admin related stuff you're supposed to know. Okay. So even that thing we will cover it. Okay. And then there are like debugging already. Clipboard, tracer. We have these are the debugging tools that are available. Okay. And then there are few wizards like when you run the wizards automatically the performance of that particular application you will get to know your performance of application. So there are like tools like PLA, okay. And then migration, how, what are the things that we need to do if you want your code to move from development environment to production environment, okay. So migration is movement, code movement. So these are the things that we will be covering, okay. And so what I will do is I will share with you Pega 7 software, okay. So even because I remember I have shared it in Google Drive, so I copied it in Google Drive. So what I will do is I will share the link with you so that you can and download it from there, okay. And then during this weekend or some we will or one day we will sit and we will install it in your machines, so that because that is an important thing. So until and unless we don't don't do hands-on, so it would be difficult to understand. Now wherever we install Pega, so these are the three icons that you see in your desktop, okay. So login, shutdown, and startup. Since Pega is an application and it requires an application server, okay, to run. So for by default for personal editions, there would be Tomcat that gets installed automatically whenever you install Pega. So, but for enterprise applications, so based on the client will suggest to go for WebSphere or WebLogic servers. Okay. But here for personal editions, it's all about Tomcat server. Okay. So now before logging into Pega, before switching to Pega or before logging into Pega, so what I need to do is first I need to start the server. Okay. And once the server has been started, then what you can do is you can log in. Now if you directly just click on this login, it will say that it's not found or server is not.
So Zubair, this software that you will install on the machine,
Right.
It will be connected to some server or it will be running it on our local machine?
No, your local machine. There are two. You can install in your server and you can access it, or else you can. But we don't know because sometimes it will be down, or sometimes every time that should be up, right? So at this point of time, we don't need that. So directly we'll install in our machines. So it would be helpful wherever we move, whenever we get some free time directly. Without internet connection, you can access it.
Okay.
And the basic configuration is, for version 7, we require minimum 4 GB of RAM. So OS is fine, but the RAM should be 4 GB. So if it is 2 GB, then it will be a little bit slow because the server is also in the same machine and you are accessing it. So if it is like stored in some other machine and you are accessing, then the 2 GB works fine. But since you are installing in that particular machine and you are accessing it, then it might get slow. So the minimum configuration is 4 GB. So if you don't, if you are having only 2 GB, so what we can do is, so we can just expand it. So we can get one RAM and just expand your RAM capacity. Then everything works fine. So what we'll do is we'll just click on the startup. So now your server is getting started. So you see server starting. So you generally it will take like two to 3 minutes of time. Okay. So now once the server has been started, then we can directly click on that login icon. So now in Pega, I mean, not to access or not to log in into this Pega. So every user will have their own operator IDs created. Okay. So operator IDs means it's a combination of username and password. Okay. So now if a new user has been joined, okay, and he will be working in our application, in our Pega application, then what we have to do, we have to create a new operator ID, okay, for that particular user. Now operator ID will have username and password. Now what that user has to do is, I mean, he has to give his username and password to log in. Okay. Now once a user has been, I mean, just creation of username and password will not work. Okay. So what we have to do is, while creation of I mean, there might be like 5 to 10 Pega applications running. Okay. Now to which application we have to give an access to that particular user. Now once he log in, so what are the applications that he can work? Okay. So even that sort of configurations you can do it in his operator ID itself. Okay. So while you create an operator ID, so there itself you can give access to which application that he can work or he can access. Okay. So I'll show you how to create an operator IDs. Okay. And how to create a new application and giving the access to that application, giving an access of that particular application to a user. Okay. From tomorrow onwards, we will get into the other things. So you have time. I guess you're not getting late. So if anyone feels that, I mean, it's late, it's getting late, then you can stop. And I mean, once we are done with, I mean, doing our hands-on, okay. So before we shut down our laptop, so what we need to do is we have to go and just double click so that your server gets stopped. Okay. So what we can do is, I mean, we can just copy this URL, and if you want to access it in other browsers, that also we can do. So Pega 7, it will support Safari, Chrome, and Internet Explorer as well. But I suggest you to use IE for your hands-on, because there are few rules which are not compatible. I mean, while you are developing, okay. So there are few rules that I mean, that you can't I mean, access, or you can't work on those rules through other browsers. Okay. Now if you're working on correspondence rules, okay. So you will not be able to open correspondence rules through Chrome. Okay. There are a few rules that Chrome doesn't support. So further sake, so what you do is, so whatever, I mean, if you have IE installed, try to go with IE. Okay. So even if you, I mean, while clicking on that login, so by default, because automatically sometimes default browser it will route to Chrome, right? So in that case, what you do, whatever the URL that you see, okay, just copy that particular URL and paste it in IE. So this is an interface. Okay. So the moment you I mean, you enter your URL. So this is the screen that you will be seeing. Okay, Pega 7. So since Pega 7, I mean, we will be using Pega 7 for our during this training. So if I want to log in, so I should be having a username password. So without that, it's not possible. The username, and this is the password. I will be logging in. Now what Pega will do is, so based on this username and password, so I mean there will be an operator ID created, right? So what it will do, that ID will be called, okay, and I mean what is that application that has been configured to that particular operator ID, okay? So it will route to, or it will switch to that particular application. It will not be this much slow, but and mine is 4 GB RAM. So if you are having like 6 GB or 8 GB RAM, so it would be fast. And I have not restarted my machine from last 2-3 days, so that's why it's little slow. It will not take this much time. So, okay, the moment you click on submit, so the default application that has been mapped to your operator ID, okay, you will be switched to that particular application. So this is your developer portal, okay, and now whatever the development you did, now if you want to test, so we have portals, okay, launch. So, okay, so click on this case manager. So
Zubair,
yeah,
Zubair, I have a question.
yeah, tell me.
Like when we do hands-on on Pega 7,
Okay.
is it possible to still work on Pega 6.1?
Yes, I mean you can do it, but there would be some. I mean look and feel of the portal got changed. Okay, so Pega
Okay.
7. I mean from Pega, I mean till version 6.3 only there have been few minor changes being happened, but from 7 the look and feel itself got changed. Okay, so it would be. I mean like for 1 week, I mean you might feel like, okay, oh, this the rule is here. Okay, this part is. I mean some.
Okay.
I mean, you will be feeling. I mean, for 1 week, it would be like it will take some time for you to find. I mean, how to create an application, or from where you can find the rules and all those things. So after 1 week, then you will get familiar. But what we'll do is, I mean, so once we get some good knowledge on version 7, so then we'll try to install version 6.3 as well. Okay, so that helps
Okay.
easy for us to understand. So earlier, I mean, you won't file you will not be seeing this particular look and feel. So for Matthews, I mean, if he's seeing for the first time, so there is a lot of change, right, Matthews?
Sorry, what, Zubair?
No, I mean, what I said is, I mean, since you have worked on version 6, 5.5,
Yeah, it is
so
completely
for you,
different.
yeah,
This
for
is
you, it is,
this is different.
yes. So, I mean, so if you want to test it, so what you can, we have a provision of switching to the portal. Okay. So once you switch it, so here, I mean, you can treat yourself as an end user, and you can test your application. Okay. So like click on this create, so all the, I mean, processor that you have will be displayed here. Okay, so click on the process that you want to run. From there, you can test your application. Okay, So now these are the explorers. So we have like case explorer, data explorers, application explorer, okay, records. Record means all the rules, okay, and then private explorer, and then favorite. So we talked about favorites. So if a rule has been delegated to me, okay, so I can find that particular rule here. So so most of the development will be done in this application explorer. Okay, so now if you create a new application, uh, so so based on the configuration that you do, okay, your application structure will be created, and now you have to go to that particular application. Okay, now my application, the moment I logged in, so it routed me or switched me to this particular application. Okay, so since this application is being created, so I can directly go and I can create the rules whatever I want. Okay, so now, and these are the explorers. So we will be going through this explorer. So before doing this, so I'll show you. Quickly I will create a new application and I will show you how it's being created and how it looks. Okay. So if you are having time, like it don't take more than 10 minutes. So if you guys are having time, if you're not getting late, then we can go ahead, or else you can stop me at any time. Okay. So now, if I want to create altogether a new application in Pega, okay. So what we have to do is, so this is your application, right? SWT. This is my application name. Okay. So what you do is just click here. Here you will be finding an option of new application. Okay. So to create a new application, I have to click this new application. Create new application, and this wizard is called as an application express. Okay, application express. So earlier it was till 6.2 6.3 it was we used to use accelerator and profiler, right? So now application, so something online training. So then the description of the application you will be giving here, and built on application. So by default, every time, in the initial days, so we will not be changing this. Okay, so because I will let you, I will know why only these options should be selected. Okay, so and then the application structure here, you make it as only implementation only. Okay, so this thing we will cover when we reach to enterprise class structure. Okay, so but as of now, whenever you're creating your application, new application, so built on application, let it be default. Application structure, so make it as implementation only. Okay, and the organization name, to which organization you're going to create this. So, city. So click on next. Business objectives. So what is the objective of your application? That you can add. And if you want to add few more, clicking on this, you can add it. Next. Case type. So case type is an important thing. Okay. Now, while creation of application, so before creation of application, so we will be getting the requirements. Okay, and business analyst people, they will, because in Pega, the good thing is the people who is playing the BA role, so they should be having Pega's knowledge. Okay. So, you can't just ask the other BS to work in this Pega application. Okay, so that will not be possible, because what Pega suggests is even the guys who is working as a business analyst, so they should be having a Pega's knowledge. Okay, so that they can, so that will help them in, so while they gather information and while they document it, so they will, if they have Pega's knowledge, so they can easily understand, they will also, while documenting itself, they will tell that, okay, this should be altogether a new process. Okay, this should be your case type. So they will list all those things. So generally, this case type is, how how to create these case types is, so first, what are the application that you're going to create? So in that application, how many independent processes are there? Okay, so now let's talk about the online application. So in online application, so let's consider the before, I mean, if he is altogether a new user, so there should be a process of a registration, a register. Okay, so what a user has to do is first he has to register himself. So few I mean one or two UI screens. So what we'll do is we'll gather all his personal information, okay, and his educational details as well. Okay, so once he completes all his details, once he's registered, then what we'll do, we'll generate an ID, unique ID, okay, and through that ID, so he can log into our portal, and he can select what are the course that he wants, okay, something like that. Okay, so now so if you talk, I mean, if you consider these things, so there are only, I mean, we can go ahead with two, because we know that, okay, for altogether register, I mean, first the user has to register, and then whatever the ID that he receives, okay, through that ID he can switch to this online training portal, and he can select the course, okay, and then that is a different process. Okay, now we knew that, okay, or now at this point of time there are two processes that we require. Okay, so keeping that in view, we have to give these case types. So registration, and then something training. Okay, so if two processes in my application, so what I will do, based on that I will give the case types. Okay. Now if you want to I mean, create one more like process wherein he can just inquire it, okay, so if you want to build that, I mean, if you want to just inquire it, so without I mean, even if he is not a registered user, but still if he wants to get some details, I mean, about the list number of courses, courses that are available and its duration and all those things, so even that also, I mean, to queue, I mean, for that particular information, in order to display that particular information, so even you can create one more case. Course detail, course information, something like that. So now this 3 are independent process. Okay. So since my application will be having 3 process, so what I did, so I created 3 case types. Okay. And then next, so data objects is not mandatory, you can skip it. Okay. So like if you want to create any data pages and all, you can go for the data objects, but we don't require, because that can be created after your application is structure is created. Okay. Now earlier it was, now currently if you see, we are in SWT onboards. Okay. Now from this SWT onboard application, we have created a new application, right? I mean, we have selected an option of new application, and we have configured these details. Now click on create. No, now what will happen is that Pega will create it will create many rules, okay, on its own. Now classes will be created automatically. Few operator IDs, test operator IDs will be created. Okay, case types will be created. Okay, so structure, basic structure will be created. Okay, so what you need to do is you have to expand those things. Now, if you see earlier it was eligibility on boards. Now you switch to online training application. Okay, so now if you see what are the case type that we have given, so that will be displayed in this cases explorer. Okay, case explorer, so 3 case types we given. Okay, 3. Now switch to this application explorer. So what are the case type that you have given, so the classes will be created for those 3 case types. Okay, so still loading. Now since we have created a new application called online training, what we'll be doing is, so whatever the new rules that we create, okay, so we will create in this particular application. Okay, even if I want to create a UI screen, okay, so we will be using this particular application and we'll be creating it. Okay. Similarly, declarative rules or decision rules, flows, and all those things we will be using this particular application, so that at the end of like 20, 30 40 days, so we will be also, I mean, we can tell others that okay, we completed one project, okay, so only just during training, okay, and then I mean separately also what we will do is we will I mean, if you have interest, then what we'll do is we can I mean, because I used to share the, because I used to take this online training from last 3 years. So I have many project requirements. Okay, so I'll share with you so that I mean after like 10 days you can start developing. So now if we switch to this application explorer, so whatever the case type that we've given, so similar to that the classes. So these are the classes. Okay. So start training was one case type. Then we have given registration as one case type, course information as one case type, right? So the similar to that, Pega, what we'll do is we'll create a classes for us. Okay. Now, based on that, if you want to create, I mean, uh, if you want to build the registration process, okay, so what we'll do, we'll switch to this particular class and we'll create the rules specific to your registration process, okay, because registration independent process. Similarly, training select, I mean select training is also go for an option to select the trainings and uh, log into the training portal. So, okay, for that also we have separate process. Similarly, we have an separate process for course details. Okay. Now, whatever the I mean stuff you want to develop with respect to this process. Okay. So for that sake, what you have to do is you have to go to that particular class and create the rules. Okay. So now here, if you see here Pega user 2 is my operator ID. Okay. So what I'll do is, now if I open my operator ID, so you can see this online training application. So you can see this. Okay. So usually directly, I mean, this is my operator ID. Okay. Now in my operator ID, have been mapped to this online training application. Okay. So directly application name will not be mapped to a use operator ID. Okay. So every application will have an access group. Okay. Now access group will be mapped to an application. Okay. So let's consider that I mean for this online training, okay, there will be an access group created by Pega itself. Okay. So that access group will point to your online training application. Now wherever you want to, I mean to which, I mean to whatever users, if you want to give an access of this particular application called online training, so what you can do, so whatever the access group that is being pointing to this online training application, so that access group we have to map it to the user's operator ID. Okay, if you see here, so for my operator ID, so earlier it was like SWT onboards. Okay, so but now a new access group has been added. Okay, and the access group that is being added is online TR administrators, and this is created automatically by Pega. Okay, now if you open this access group, so this access group is with respect to your application called online training. So if you see here this online training, this is your application. Okay, so now only one, if you go to these operators, only one operator is having access to this particular application. Okay, now if I want to create operator IDs for Vamshi, sorry, for Matthews and Ravi, so what we can do is, so this is my operator ID, right? Actions, create. Okay, and I mean through this you can create a new operator ID. So what I will do is Matthews. create and open. First. And then position architect, phone number, whatever you have. Okay. So here email ID, phone number also plays an important role here. Okay. So whatever the email ID that you use, okay, configure that email ID here, so that sometimes whenever we send an email, okay, so directly, I mean, we will not be giving the email. I mean, in the two, we will not be directly configuring the email ID. Okay, so instead, automatically, what Pega will do is it will collect the email information or email that is being configured with this operator ID. Okay, it will collect it and it will send an email automatically to that particular user. Okay, so what we have to do, I mean, just configure your proper or your correct email. Okay, and now in the work, okay, organization division, so security, hello, rule checkout, history file. Now in the work here, sorry, in the file here, by default there is no access group configured. Okay, so what I will do is, for me it was in the access group. What we will do, we will configure this. Okay, select work. So we don't require this, but still. So other things, let it be default, and security fine, history is fine. Try to save it. The new operator ID called Matthews is being created. Okay. Now for Matthews, so I mean, we are not giving an access to online training. Okay. So what we are given, because for me, if you see, for me, the access group that is being configured here is online TR administrators, whereas for Matthews, it is SWT onboard administrator. Okay, I'm not given the same access group. Access group will point to an application. Okay, so directly you can't configure, I mean, you can't give directly application name here. Okay, so instead we have to give access group, because access group will point to an application according to Pega. Now Matthews, so what was his password? So password is rules. Okay, save it. Rules. Now what we'll do is new session. Now what we'll do is we will log in again with a different, with Matthews. Here HTTPS and the rules with the password. Now whenever Matthews has logged in to the application, so we have not given Matthews an access to online training application. Okay, instead is being directed to SWT onboards application. Okay, so this is how we will be like giving an access of application to users. Okay, and now Matthews will come and say that no, he also requires I mean online training access. I mean, when he also wants to work on online training application that we are going to create. Okay, so in that case, what we have to do, go to the operator. Okay, open Matthews operator, and then click on this add access group, then search for online, right, online TR. No, just see here. So SWT onboards is his application. Now, if you want to switch to an application, so you don't have any other applications. So only SWT onboards is the application that he can access. Okay, that he's already using. Okay, so only one application. So now what we're doing? So we have added one more access group, and we are defaultly pointing to this online training access group. Okay, now save it. Now if you see here, there are two access groups, right? So what it means is, so by default, I mean, we have selected this option. So now whenever Matthews is logging in, so by default, the application that will be shown will be online training. Okay, but still he has a provision, still he is having an access of this SWT onboard application as well. Okay, so he can directly switch to this, but I mean, if he wants to work in this particular application, he can switch to this application, and he can work. Now what we'll do is we'll log off. Okay, and then again Matthew, we'll log in with Matthews. So these are rules. Now when Matthews is logged in, okay, now you can see the application that is being, I mean, the default application is online training. Earlier it was SWT onboards, right? Now Matthews has worked for half day, and now rest 4 hours you want to work for other application. Okay, now what we will do, we will go to this switch application SWT onboards. Okay, and then you can still work on this particular application as well. Okay, so this is how I mean, you can queue an access of application to the users. Okay, so I mean, since you guys will not be attending any interviews, okay, but still for a basic I mean, for 1 or 2 years of experience, so they might ask you, I mean, how to give, I mean, if a new user has been added, how you will be giving an access to that particular application. Okay, so this is how we'll do. So we'll go to his operator ID profile. Okay, and there is in the right side we have an option to configure access group. Okay, so select an access group that is pointing to that particular application. So we don't, I mean, they will ask, they can ask, okay, directly in application name can we configure in access, I mean, in operator ID? No, we can't do that. Okay, so in operator ID there is a provision of adding only access group. Okay, so internal access group will be pointing to the application. Okay. So today, I mean, that's it for today. So from tomorrow onwards, we'll try to create a new rules. Okay, and we'll try to do development with respect to online training application. So any doubts, any questions?
No, Zubair, I think the initial course content was clear, but whatever you did after that in this Pega 7 tool, it would help me if I did this hands-on, because otherwise it will start.
Right. So that is what I mean. I will do that. I mean, even I don't want you just to hear this theory. So because this will not help. I mean, if you just
yeah. Unless we do it, it's just like a tick without understand that.
Just give me a minute. I'm just connecting my charger. Yes. So whatever the doubts you have, I mean, you can, because course content, because since everything is new and we can't just, I mean, during demo we can't just elaborate much, so I just skip few things, because once we get into the topic, then we will go in depth into that topic. My intention was, I mean, apart from this course content, I just wanted to show you the look and feel about how this Pega development developer portal. So I already said, I mean, if you want to switch, we have an option of. So here, whatever the stuff you create or you develop, okay, and now you want to test it there and end user, still you have that provision. You can switch to the particular portal, okay, and you can create or you can run your process. Okay, this is how it looks.
Okay. Yeah, maybe once we after I install, I think it would make more sense when I do it.
Yeah. After install, and even after 1 week, because in 1 week we will try, we'll try to create many rules. We will be creating many UIs, right? So here itself, you will get to know a lot of things. How to run the process. Okay, how to switch the portals, all those things.
Okay,
So,
sure.
so Matthews, any questions?
No, none from my side.
Okay, okay, fine. If you don't have any questions, then we will stop it and we'll continue from here.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Zubair.
Welcome.
Good night, Ravi.
Sure.
Good night. Bye.